Obviously really proud of our guys for for getting to this point for a really, really awesome season. The stuff they do on the court is one thing, the stuff they do off the court is a whole other thing, and it's just really, really special group. Give up 101 points, it can be tough to win games, and Emory's been a team that all year has basically played in the 90s. We felt we had a good shot here if we could kind of keep them under 80, and they get downhill fast, and they have some really, really great players, some great scorers, and obviously a really, really well-coached team, and gave us a little bit more than we could handle today. So our hats are off to them. We wish them, of course, really the best of luck next week in the Elite Eight.
Zevi, you're finishing your career at Yeshiva as the all-time leading scorer, the all-time leading three-point leader, and you have the record for the most points in one game. What would you say is your greatest accomplishment in your time at YU?
I think that's an easy question. My greatest accomplishment is the friendships that I've built with the guys on the team. We talk about it all season long, that we don't know another team that does this. Yes, you could say from the outside it's all these religious trips. It's nothing to do with that. It's just getting to spend Shabbat together, Shabbos with all the guys, get to spend Minyan together every day after practice. It's just more additional time hanging out with all the guys. The basketball part is fun, but at the end of the day, we're here in this world for a bigger purpose, and I think friendships is one of the most powerful things, and the fact that I've been able to build awesome friendships is probably my biggest accomplishment.
Elliott, how would you describe the development over the last 4 years from when these guys walked in until where we are now?
Yeah, we just talked about it in the locker room, briefly, and we'll obviously have a lot of time to spend over the weekend and going forward to talk more and reminisce. This is a special group, obviously, of seniors. There's 7 or 8 seniors that are in this class. When they came in, I was telling them that first year that they were here was probably one of my favorite years coaching. Just the personalities, guys wanting to learn, and obviously, over the years, you guys have learned their personalities. They're just really, really good people. And it made it a lot of fun to teach that first year. The in-between years, obviously, were a lot of development, sometimes frustration, sometimes excitement. Obviously, a little bit lucky last year getting the win and getting a chance to get a taste of the tournament. This year was just an absolute joy. To get to a point where we have guys who can handle the start that we had with the non-conference schedule that we had, manage the locker room and lead the way these 2 guys did, and just turn that group into just one family going forward is what drove the last 16 games obviously through today, and just special stuff. I'm really, really proud of them.
And then just getting into the game today, you guys start off on that bad run. What do you say in the timeout to the guys to kind of get them to reset and get back into the game?
Yeah, you could, we talked about it obviously all week and in film. They get at you right away. Those guys, it's we call it kind of blitzing you offensively, as opposed to defensively, and it I think took us out of what we were trying to do a little bit. And as much as you can watch it on film and talk about it, when you get on the court and it's coming at you that fast and that big, it's very, very different. And I think we found that out early. It was just kind of we were just hoping we'd be able to manage it, but it's hard to spot the number 2 team in the country, a 15-point lead early, and climb the whole way back. It takes a lot of energy. I think we got it to 3 a couple of times first half, and then I know we got it midway through second half. I think we cut it to 3 again, but it takes a lot, and they have a lot. So.
Sure. Coach, guys, obviously the loss is incredibly frustrating. But I want to ask you guys a question I asked the Emory personnel as well. The fact that you got to this point, second time in program history, first time the Sweet 16 game has ever been played in Yeshiva University men's basketball program history since the tournament was canceled last time due to COVID. How would your 10-year-old selves react to your getting this far, making history in the program, getting so many people to come down across the country on a Friday, have to make Shabbos weekend plans to stay here to watch you guys and support you guys? Still an incredible accomplishment in and of itself. How would your 10-year-old or younger self react to see you guys make it this far?
Me? I don't remember being 10. Yeah, look, it's. I don't know that I would call it surprising. I don't think it is. I think it's something that we've worked for. It's something that was the goal, and when I got here, however long ago it was, 12 years ago. I don't think we've hit our goals yet, right? Our goal wasn't to come to the Sweet 16 today and lose, right? We were expecting to win a basketball game today and go play next week in Fort Wayne. But only one team gets to do that, and those guys had the same goal and just achieved it a little bit better than we did today. So I think a younger self would probably be proud of the process we've gone through. proud of the development we've had as a program, that we're taking these steps. Probably proud of the fact that these guys are sitting here upset that they lost as opposed to just happy that they were here. I think those are important characteristics and things that we've built here in terms of our culture and our expectations as a program. And like I told these guys, in a few years when we're in the Final Four, we're going to be able to reference these guys just like we would reference for them the guys 5-6 years ago as the stepping stones for where we're trying to go with the program. And without them, it doesn't happen.
Thanks, Coach. Guys?
Yeah, I mean, when obviously college basketball, for me, when I was 10 years old was everything. Basketball in general, just, when they were playing the CBS music, 2 minutes to go, that just obviously was awesome with the crowd and everything. So that was, super, super cool. And I mean, in terms of, us, as Coach said, we obviously came in here expecting to win and expecting to play in four-way next week. And unfortunately, we didn't. And hats off to Emory. They're a really freaking good basketball team, and they got a lot of really good guys. But I told the guys at the end of the game we like to do a quick little huddle. We do every single game, and what I told them was obviously it's going to stink tonight, tomorrow, because we put in the work and we expect it to win. So it's going to stink, but a month from now, a week from now, a year from now, we have a bond. This group that we had already, but this run and this through the conference and through the to the Sweet 16, solidify that, and we're, as Coach said, we're going to take pride in continuing to build that program. When we came in 4 years ago, we heard obviously about the greats of Ryan and Gabe and all those guys, and we're just proud that we were able to kind of carry that forward and kind of continue the stepping stones for the next group that's going to come in and bring this program to the Final Four.
Thanks, guys.
Not really so much to say on top of both of that, but I think it's just every time we got on the court, it's just we're here to win, we're here to compete. Came today, we're ready to compete. The team, makes the first punch. It's hard, but you always have to realize, and the coaches always emphasize, you got to enjoy the moment. It's very easy to get sidetracked and let it all pull you down. Yeah, it stinks we lost, but we came here to compete, and we came here to have fun. We came here to have another weekend with the boys, with the team, and we wanted to continue to do it for as long as we can. So, obviously looking back and hopefully, to think I'm 10 years old that would do any of this, to have all this off the court stuff, on the court stuff, and just compete at the highest level and try to go as far as we can. I mean,
10 years old, you were probably worried about getting into high school.
that is true. I didn't get into high school at 10.
That's smart.
But I don't know. It's been fun. It's been great, and hopefully we'll never forget this.
Thanks, guys. Last question for you. So they say hindsight's obviously 2020. You guys had the advantage of looking back last year in Boston versus Tufts. Now this year, second straight conference championship, going to March Madness again, advancing further in the Sweet 16 now versus Emory. I want to know from you guys, what improvements do you feel like you've had personally and as a team going from Tufts last year to Emory this year? And what improvements do you think there still are to make going from now to eventually you'll proceed even further in years to come?
I guess I'll start by saying from last year to this year, I mean, I still can barely play defense. Got to work on that. No, I mean, I think the biggest thing is to recognize that you got to play 40 minutes of basketball to win a game. And it's something that we struggled with early this year. We had big losses because we played 34 minutes and then we lost it in the last 6. But I think that this year we came with a different mindset of 40 minutes. As the year went on, as we progressed, we were 40 minutes. We got to the tournament, we a little bit knew what it took to really compete for 40 minutes. And I think we did for the most part until we came here and we got punched early. And then anytime we kept getting there, they kept punching back. And it's something that every team has to do. You want to win a basketball game, you got to be disciplined, make less mistakes for 40 minutes at a time.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just continuing the process. It's an everyday thing. Not obviously everyone sees game days and social media stuff, but it's been an everyday process for 4 years for a lot of us. And little day by day we were able to chip and kind of keep on getting better. And you saw it kind of last year, where if we were we were a little happy to be there and kind of able to build off that momentum last year and carry it over this year. Obviously, add a couple good pieces. Guys get better, we get bigger, we get stronger. Another year in our offense and our defense, and just kind of getting more comfortable. And I think that's why we were able to kind of continue to get better. And then you saw that with, by the way, or you look back at our 4 years, first year losing the semifinals in the conference, second year losing the championship in the conference, third year a breakthrough, make the conference, losing the first round, and then obviously this year you're able to win some games in the NCAA tournament. So for the guys watch, for everyone see this interview, it's about the everyday work. Guys don't always see that, but we take pride in every single day coming in, and that's the thing I'm gonna miss the most is just waking up every day for practice and just battling and competing. So
yeah, I just think the major difference for us this year was we after this press conference, or before this press conference last year at Tufts, the three of us were sitting outside waiting to go in, and literally just talking about how what the effort level was was needed, what the everyday work was needed in terms of being able to take next steps, and that concept of kind of just playing as if we were happy to be there, which is what I felt like it was last year. And I thought that these two guys took a step in terms of their maturity and leadership this year. They both drove me to be better at what I'm trying to do, and I think they made that whole team better this year, and kind of changed the whole approach and the whole mentality from the beginning of the season really through the end. And I think that's why we went into last weekend. I know everyone gets excited and jumps on the bandwagon as things start to go well. These guys went into last weekend, they didn't expect to win, they knew they were going to win. And that's a massive difference from a year or two ago.
Thanks, Coach. One last question for Max, if that's okay. Question specifically for Max. So throughout this entire playoff and now March Madness run, you've been playing with a broken toe, overcoming a broken toe, obviously a huge obstacle as an athlete. I want to know how you've been able to do it and what advice you have for others who have to overcome either physical or mental obstacles and still compete in a huge stage, whether it be at work,
don't do
family.
it.
What?
Nobody else wants to do that. You have no idea what that kid's going through in terms of pain. It's not normal. It's not don't do it. He's a psycho.
Yeah, I mean,
sorry, just to finish the point, there are times where people have tremendous obstacles that are physical pain, mental, emotional, and they're still expected to perform, whether not always as an athlete, but if you got a family, you got a job, you got things that you're still responsible for no matter what you're dealing with. So I'm curious as to what your process was like to overcome that physical pain in your case, and then what advice you have for others who have to overcome huge obstacles to still perform in whatever they're doing.
Somebody won.
yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I've dealt with a good amount of injuries throughout my career, missing games almost every season. And this year, honestly, I jinxed it. I was texting my PT guy right after we won the conference championship, and he's so proud of me and whatever. And I was like, this year, besides the game I missed in the beginning of the season, which wasn't for an injury, I was able to play every single game and felt great going into conference and the tournament. And fortunately, stuff happens, and I broke my toe obviously in the Bates game, and it's just I mean, I'm just not going to play. I don't know what else to really say in terms of in terms of that. Just, I mean, for me, pain, you just got to do the best you can, do treatment. Obviously, the things you can do to take care of it, but end of the day, it's not going to feel great, but you do the best you can, and we put in too much time to this to be able to, little things like that. You just push through on it. That's my advice. Just push through, and you'll get the rewards hopefully.
Thanks, Max.
Hey, I'm Shai Kaiser-Biller from Atlantic Academy. So even though the season has ended tonight, what's it meant to Yeshiva University and to represent Yeshiva University and the Jewish community on a national stage?
Anything?
I think this was the coolest thing of all time. We went to right after the game, for me to actually get a reality check of how many people were there was insane, and to the point where literally yesterday I gave my phone to somebody. I said I can't respond to people. I can't focus because so many people are reaching out to me. Not in a way, look what you're doing. It's like every Jew out there has been texting me. What you're doing is amazing. What you guys are doing, accomplishing. Don't forget you're playing for the Jewish people. I think it's just been so special to see that. Sometimes when you just go through the conference and it's cool and people come, it's cool and you're playing for the Jewish people, but to get messages from Israel, people that are watching in the bomb shelters, people that are going through a dark time, we're able to lift them up. People here, the amount of people that even flew in for this game, the amount of people in the Atlanta Jewish community that came. I think it's just something to realize that sometimes you're doing something so much bigger than what you're actually doing. And for us to realize, and we've been saying it every game before in the locker room, we're playing for something so much bigger than the game of basketball. We're playing for the Jewish people. And we made an emphasis to really have that on our back, to be mentions on the court, to play with character, to not be, just to be a good people and recognize we're playing for more than ourselves. And it's the biggest, thing that I've been proud to be a part of such a team, such a culture, such a nation.
One more question. Or two more, actually. But firstly, Ollie Korn. Firstly, Zevi, everyone knows you're a dog, but I was wondering, you came to the game, and obviously you have that natural confidence, and everyone as an athlete knows that they have to know that they're going to win coming into the game. But there was a chance that this was your last time stepping on the court. So before the game, what was your thought process? What was your mindset knowing that this could be the last time you represented Yeshiva University?
It's a great question. I think I definitely knew a couple weeks ago after we won the championship that it's only going to hit me once we lose. That's usually how it works, First 2 games we won, and it was like, oh yeah, like I expected to win, so what emotion should I have? And we came here, and I'm like, of course we're going to win. And only did it really hit me when I started handshaking all the coaches and players, and I'm just saying we're so proud of you for what you've done here and that you were able to play here for 4 years. Then it really, really hit me. Walking off the court for the last time it stunk, but the mindset coming in is at the end of the day, things end at a certain point, and it's about how do you maximize every opportunity you get. I knew that eventually my college career was going to end. I hoped it would have been the national championship after and ended on a win, but to recognize that all I could do is do my best. And I have awesome teammates, awesome coaches, an awesome Jewish community behind me, and just the fact that I can play for all that and play with these guys, I didn't want it to end. So I just, I davened, I did my, like Ashtalis, I did my work with the guys to get hard work and practice, but come in and realize you can do your best. And at the end of the day, you can't control every outcome in life. But I just had an awesome time, and the fact that we lost, it stunk, and it hit me. The fact that I'm not going to spend as much time as I wished with all these guys, bigger than basketball.
And then lastly, for all you guys are all leaders in different aspects on the team. I was wondering if you had one message, one little thing to say to all the guys on the team after this game, what would it be?
You're saying to our guys?
Yeah.
I mean, they know that, we like to say that we have a bond, we have a connection, we have a love that no other team in the country has. I don't care at any level. How much time we spend together, what we do, off the court, on the court, there's that's what got us here. We're not the biggest team, we're not, but I believe, obviously, along with the work, got us here, and I'm gonna miss, every single day, being in the foxhole with those guys, with other seniors like Ari Shklar and Hillel Baynash and Dotan and Roy, and Tom Beza, and it's just, it's 4 years, a long time of, probably 300, 400 practices of at 6 a.m., 80% of them at 6 a.m. So it's just, those are my guys forever, and if you don't play on a team, and you don't play, especially on a team like us, you'll just never totally get it, just what we've been through, and I just love all of them.
Coach, last question.
Yeah.
Watching you guys, since I covered D3, I, see, but I never really got a chance, and I honestly feel like you guys are like a Gonzaga, you're building, and now you're here. Now it's no longer, came in the first round. No, the expectation now is what you built. What these guys are, when I seen Zevi, I was texting who is this guy? And it's a testament to what you guys are doing. Expectation going forward, you're no longer the hunted, or the hunter. Right. You're the hunted. How does that change you now?
Well, first of all, Mark has a lot more hair than I do at Gonzaga. But look, that's kind of the goal. I've always said it. Pressure's a privilege, right? You want to put yourself in a situation where you're the hunted. You want to have a target on your back. And the more you build, the more success you have, and the more that target grows. And that's something that we've been able to first build kind of at the conference level. And our goal is to build it at the national level too. It takes time, and we recognize that. And it's been a long 12 years, but it's been a short 12 years also. And I think that kind of each group we've had, from day one, from the teams that didn't even make it to the conference finals, to the teams that kind of got over the hump and won the conference finals and then got blown out in the first round, to teams like this that have actually gotten to play in the Sweet 16, and for the most part of the game were competitive, and are sitting here upset that they weren't more competitive. There's a confidence that's building, and there's no doubt, and it helps us in terms of bringing in recruits and guys that want to play here and do something special. But it's I think it also is. I think it's also a testament to our conference. Honestly, like our conference has gotten a lot better. We get challenged in conference play a lot. I know our conference takes a lot of flack, and when they throw out those rankings during the year, they like to throw us, closer to the bottom third than to the top third. But there's some pretty damn good teams in our conference, and I think that kind of makes us battle tested coming in. And obviously we try to schedule as best we can. Got to be willing to lose if you want to find out how to win. And that's something I think that we've done well, is kind of learn how to lose and use that to learn how to win. Not something I plan on changing.
We got time for one or two more.
Just one final question for you, Coach.
Sure.
So obviously Max and Zevi are seniors, but we also have Dotan, Roy, Hillel, Ari, and Tom. What have those guys kind of meant to the program now that their 4 years are over?
Yeah, so like I said earlier, really just a special crew. From day one, like just being able to work with those guys and teach them. Really, 4 years ago, probably one of my most favorite years of coaching was just getting that crew. They all played. They all had, like roles throughout, and it's an amazing thing. And I was saying this to them in the locker room. I get Zevi and Max played the most minutes, and Dotan and Roy obviously got a lot of time in there. But guys like Hillel, who show up every single day at practice, doesn't matter whether he's playing in the game or not, he's sitting on the bench like this, ready to go in every single game, ready to just be a dog and take somebody, guard somebody, take a charge, drive to the bucket, run our offense. I mean, nobody screens as hard as that little kid does. Guys, the guy who shows up, and I remember when Max wanted, Hillel was coming out to try out to walk on the team, and Max was like, we gotta take this kid. And I was like, why? He's like, because he just makes me work harder than anybody else. It's 4 years of a guy who drove our guys to get better, even if he didn't get a shot on the court, throughout. Had some minutes this year in some spots and really, really performed well. Tom Beza, same thing every single day. The effort he gives in practice is unbelievable. Had his moments a little bit more last year than this year. Probably a little bit of a frustrating year for him because the depth that we had this year was a little bit tougher for him to kind of crack in, and he also battled some injuries over the years. But in the situation last year where we were struggling to find energy and depth on the bench, he stepped up and made plays. And then Ari, Ari's just a natural leader. Like, that kid will be a really, really good basketball coach in the future. He embraced his role. It wasn't necessarily one that was on the court, but he became a real leader of this team in a lot of ways. He's a guy who texts me before every game with just drawn up sets of what the other team's running, ideas, questions on scout, and things that he thinks he sees. And over the course of the 4 years that he was here, we started to take him seriously because he knows what he's looking at. And so it's cool to kind of have a guy who, as much as he didn't play a ton of minutes over the course of the 4 years, he made us better coaches. Who did I miss? I got everybody right.
Roy and Dotan.
Roy and Dotan, right? So they play a little bit also, obviously. I thought Dotan, obviously, last year struggled a little bit with the injury. He was hurt pretty much all year. Bounced back this year. The work he put in the offseason was evident. The second he walked into the gym, he was in terrific shape. Thought he had a great season. Made some absolutely tremendous shots throughout the course of the playoffs. If you look at every game we played in the conference playoffs and in the first 2 rounds, there's 2 or 3 big threes or big shots in each of those games. And he stepped up. Roy, sorry guys, is the nicest kid I will ever coach. Hands down, the nicest kid I'll ever coach. I've never heard anything from that kid other than, yes, coach, no problem, and whatever we tell him to do, he goes and he does it at 100%. That's a kid that you might not see it in the scorebook all the time. We'll miss him as much as we miss these guys.
All right, last question.
Yeah. Last question is piggybacking off a previous question Ami asked before about memories. So obviously, you guys are moving on. This is your last game as a MAC. Years and years of memories, great times. The fans obviously assume that your favorite memories are going to be winning a championship, maybe getting an award. Max, for instance, getting the tournament MVP, Zevi Player of the Year. What's a specific, really niche, behind-the-scenes memory that you guys are going to look back on in 20 years with nostalgia that most fans wouldn't even think that you'd appreciate, but that's special to you? And Coach, for you, what's a memory like that you have of these guys here?
Yeah, I'll answer. I think, I was going to say at the end if nobody asked, but I want to thank the Max fans. I think what they do is really special. I don't know if I would ever been able to do that. I think before I played in YU, I might have went to 2 games ever, maybe only 1. I think it's a special thing that there are people that do not miss a game. And if they're not there in person, they are there on the screen. And the amount of pictures I've got, people at weddings, literally right next to the chuppah watching the YU game, what is wrong with you? But they can't miss a game because of how connected they feel to us.
That's awesome.
Bigger than basketball. I think my biggest memory is always going to be the fans after the game. I don't know any college D2, D3, and some even D1 that probably don't have, in fact, the amount of autographs that we're signing, the amount of pictures that we're taking, that I'm getting swarmed after a game. You're at a D3 game. I mean, props to Emory, they played great. They don't have 100 kids asking for pictures. And I think it's a testament to see like how much, number one, of role models we are to them, but to see how much support they do for us. I take pictures, I sign autographs, because look what they do for us. They don't miss a game. They're there supporting us. They're there for us. It's something I'm never going to forget for the rest of my life.
Yeah, I guess two, and both obviously are connected to two different other seniors, which again shows their determination and their hard work. Number one is my guy Hillel Bainash. We talked about it, I think, last week when we were kind of, just talking about things like we probably had 1,000, 1,500 workouts at ranging from 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. And just, it's like, people would ask me, like, I'll do it the day after the game. Our games start at 8 o'clock and it ends at 10:30, and I'm not sleeping until 12, and we'll still go at 5:36 the next day. And it's just like why, like, your body, like, why do you do this? It's because I enjoy doing it. Like, it wasn't like, oh, I have to get up now. I enjoy doing that. So, workouts with Hillel and Zevi, obviously in the off season, but mainly in the season with Hillel, I'm going to miss. And the second thing is a little bit, I think it probably started our second year, so it's been going on for 3 years. At halftime, every single game, Ari Shklar, senior, he'll like rebound for me and pass me threes and kind of like close out, whatever. And it's every single game. He could warm up himself or whatever, but he'll come to me. It'll be a relaxing moment. I can have a good first half, a bad first half, and be like, all right, you got this in the second half, Max. Let's go. Let's get a couple shots up, and he'll pass it to me, close out for as long as I want. If we have 10 minutes, he'll do it for 10 minutes if I want to. Usually only do it for a couple minutes, but it just, again, shows the bond of our teammates that he could be warming up, he could be doing, but he's rebounding for me and trying to get me ready for the second half. So I think those two things are just, again, show the togetherness of our team and how much good these guys are, and that's where it's one unit.
Thanks, guys. Coach, favorite memories of these guys?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of these two guys, for Max, it'll be our conversations almost pretty much after every game. We'll end up on the phone, kind of just talking through locker room, talking through strategy, different things, and just talking the game at a high level with a guy who's kind of running it for us out there. I think is something I'll probably still do. Honestly, I'll probably call him anyway. Hopefully, he'll watch the games. And then Zevi, Zevi, his freshman year made me start learning a chapter of Psalms with him at halftime of every game, and we've actually finished the entire thing, and now we're kind of in our second run through it. So that's something I think that I'll have to find somebody else to do with me next year, just because it's something that I kind of feel like I need to keep doing now that we've done it for the last 4 years. And just overall, I think this team will always be, unfortunately, remembered as the team that was stuck reacting to October 7th, 2 years ago. And I remember when I came back from Israel, and we had missed a few practices because it was just hard to get back after. You come into practice and everybody's kind of like, we got Israeli kids who are checking their phones, what's going on back home. We got American kids who are just checking with family, and just everyone was a little bit still kind of in shock from what had happened, and just the way this group reacted to that situation and has carried themselves as a light, really a light, for everybody else, and use their platform to, put a spotlight on what the issues were, whether it was stuff that's going on in Israel, whether it's what's going on there now, in terms of constant attacks. I mean, we've talked about it in previous press conferences and interviews. I got friends that are going in and out of the bomb shelter 10 to 11 times a day, waiting for ballistic missiles to either get intercepted or hopefully land in a field that's not, too close to their shelter to cause them damage. Whether it's what's gone on this week in Michigan, where somebody tried to attack a daycare center at a synagogue, whether it's what's gone on over the course of the years in various cities and towns across the country and across the world. These guys have always had the right response. They've always had the opportunity to use their platform for something that's bigger than just the sport. And I think, as unfortunate as it is, that is, I think, what their strength has become, and something that I think they'll be able to carry forward with them, and that I'll obviously always remember.